Okay, this one's got a little bit of an unusual shape in that it dips in and then flares out. When I was constructing these, they had gotten a little bit moist and hard to work with them. And so now hopefully these have dried up a little bit. Once again, they've just been sitting in a bag for a couple of days, so they've firmed up a bit. And so let's see what we can do with them. I might need to re-moisten them a little bit. And if so, I would just take some water like this and maybe just give it a little dip around that rim. Work it in a little bit, let it soak in a little bit, and then that'll make it a little bit easier to work with. I'm not sure if these need that or not. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, that was a little bit easier to work with now that it was a little bit firmer. Not sure if we're achieving the shape that we want though. But let's see. Maybe we'll take all of them to a point like this. Then we'll work on getting this shape here. Work on getting all of them to a point where it doesn't have so much finger marks in it. Yeah, this one's a little bit firm, so I might give it a little bit of water, rub that in, or let it soak in. Meanwhile, here's the one that I dipped in just a couple minutes ago, and see if that's worked in a little bit. Yeah, that might have made it just a little bit easier to work, just a little bit softer. You know, the clay, like anything else, will dry from the outside in. So it's mostly the surface at this point that was hard. And once you get in, it's got a softer core. So if I was able to just wet the surface a little bit, then that made the whole thing a little bit more workable. Okay, I want to be careful not to flare it out too much as I'm trying to get rid of some of these finger marks and make it more consistent. Because this cup does have a little bit of height to it. Okay, so now my cups are all a lot smoother, but are they consistent one to another? As I look at it, well, they vary a lot, don't they? Both in height and in width. And so, you know, our goal is to make 4 the same as this one. Let's see what we can do. You know, this project is not necessarily easy, but, you know, growth usually comes from things that are a little bit more difficult. So it's a good thing. I think what we need to do at this point, since we've got them all thinned out to a certain degree, is make one that is now to this shape, and we can see and make the rest of this shape as well. I'll start with this one here. Any of them would do, really. So if I look at it, what's the difference? Well, it looks like my drawing is taller. That's the first thing that hits me, is that it seems to be taller and definitely has that dip in the side. Maybe the base might be wider relative to the top. This might be wider here than this one is. So those are the kind of things that I'll look for as I'm making the shape. So first I'm widening out this base a little bit. Just a little bit. Careful not to stretch this too much. I don't want to get this too thin. Okay. Next thing is it seems like this middle part is a little bit narrower, so I'm going to use the friction in my fingers just to kind of work this way a little bit. You don't want to pinch it, boop, like that. Just a little bit. That'll shrink it up just a bit. Did that do it? Yeah. You see how this is coming in here now? So it was just a bit. Remember, don't try and push things too far. Do the minimal that you need to. Okay, now raising this up a bit. My hands were a little dry, so I just got a little bit of moisture on them. Not gushy, ushy wet. So I'm just rolling this edge up a bit to get it a little bit more height without pushing it out. This area here is a little bit thin, so I'm trying to just sort of use a little bit of tension just to get a little bit more volume of the clay into there. It's sort of a slow process, you know, just tiny micro amounts with each push, not a lot. Just sort of rubbing that surface into here a little bit. And then I won't be pushing that area anymore. Who knows? I might even have to add a little bit of clay. We'll see. Okay, that's getting to be much more like that shape now. And so my height is inconsistent, but what I'm working on is making the thickness here consistent throughout. And what I can do is I can trim this, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes.